you have one of the coolest companies, Malbon, in golf that I've seen.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. It's I kind of want to know what led you to starting it.
So I guess I stopped golfing when I was 15 because it wasn't like the most cool thing to do, or it was cool for me, but it wasn't cool for like everyone else I knew, except the people who I worked with at the golf course, which were my buddies, and they were addicted to golf too. But like everyone else in high school and school, like that wasn't like the cool thing to do golf. So I abandoned it. I abandoned it when I was 15, and then I ended up going to art school in Atlanta, and I caddied through art school in Atlanta. And so then the caddies could play on Mondays for free, and we would play like 36 holes, and we would all gamble. So then all of a sudden I was going to the range like a couple days a week without them knowing, to like practice and get back into it. So I basically saw that there was a ton of people who play when they're young, and there's a lot of initiatives in golf to get young kids to play, but there isn't a ton of initiatives to get them to play from like 15 to 25 or 15 to 30. So it's like a 15-year gap where I played when I was from 12 to 15, and then I stopped until I was like, like 20, 21-ish, where I started caddying and just being addicted to golf. Then next thing you know, I was like obsessed with it again because I kept having these little money games, and we talked shit all week. So I had to fucking practice and like get back into it. And then I did that for 2 or 3 years, and then I ended up going to New York City and working and doing like ad agency type of hustle in New York. And so I abandoned it again until I was 33. So from the time I was 15 to 33, I only really played 2 years, and that's why I was caddying. And every other year I just didn't golf. It was like not a part of my life. So I started to realize that my kids who golf when they're 15, if something doesn't change, they're going to do the exact same thing I did, which is, like get over it because no one else is doing it in their peer group. And, girls aren't dating the golfers. And I don't know that have ever been like top of the list, So it's like any young person would do what I did. And I just started to realize that. So 33, go fast forward to 33, I started golfing again. We were pregnant with Remington, our second child. So Erica was pregnant, and I was partying too much. And I came home and it was like fucking 10 in the morning or something. And I came home and she was upset for good reason. And I said, I won't drink again until you have the baby. Like we're doing this together. It's the right thing to do. And so I got out of the doghouse in like 10 seconds. And then I was like, fuck, how am I going to stop going to nightclubs and obsessing with going to nightclubs? And I had to figure out how you can kind of switch one addiction to another. So I started booking tee times as much as I could early, like 7 a.m., different golf courses. And within like a week or two, I was obsessed with golf again. So then I was obsessed with golf. So I started to like put golf on my Instagram. And this is like 7, 8 years ago, where I normally only put in pictures of like art and music and fashion and skateboarding and weirdo graffiti shit on there, or my kids. And then all of a sudden I'm putting up photos of like Freddie Couples and, the Walrus golfing. And all of my friends were like, no one golfs but you. So like, stop putting those photos up there. We don't even know who the fuck the people are. And so I started a new Instagram, which is now Malbon Golf. But that Instagram was started as like a mood board. So I didn't know what it would ever be. I had no intentions of what it was going to be. I just wanted to put like obscure, weird, cultural golf stuff mixed with traditional, like pure golf. And it just kind of bounced back and forth there as a mood board. And I was thinking one day eventually I could like, get a free tee time at like Angeles National, or if I had enough followers, something could come out of it somehow. Yeah. And I started to realize quickly that there were a lot of other people who were interested in like a little bit golf, just a bit different than how like maybe your dad or grandfather did it, So it's kind of pushing it and trying to attract new people and and people who may think it was kind of like corny or not the move. And instead of pushing them away, like showing that it is actually really fun and there's parts of it that are super cool. And at the same time, trying to take like the thought of like the older people who have kind of the old guard that are like protective of golf and the traditions and how, you know, you can't wear your hat backwards or these kind of odd like rules that it's like young people aren't as bad as you may think they may be. And then to the young kids, it's like these old people aren't as bad as you think they may be. So that's kind of how it's always been. And I think the main point of it was, like I said, like, how do you stop the 15-year gap from young, you know, people golfing and loving it and then being like, fuck this, I'm not doing that shit anymore. And then you wait till you're 33, 35 and you're like obsessed with golf again. So it's, that's what happened.
Dude, I had a very similar experience too, because like, you know, I was playing football and lacrosse in high school, and then in college I was really focused on film school. But so I kind of grew up golfing, and then that happened, and then I really got back into it in my adult life. But it is such a special game, and like I've always loved it. It's just finding the time for it, and like you said, that gap is kind of tough. But having companies, I mean, man, I can't explain how many times, you know, I wear your gear, like whether it's during the day or at night or like just going around on the golf course, whatever it is. I mean, it's really reflective of like almost the personality of the person wearing it, right? Like it's very comfortable and casual, but also has like a really nice kind of classy feel to it. And I love that.
And you wear it well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I love it all.
I feel the same. Like I didn't start golfing until really only a couple years ago. And so I had no even knowledge really of the old way of, you know, wearing all the right clothes, tucking your shirt in, the hat forward, doing the whole thing. And my first introduction to golf too was at a Discovery property, El Dorado in Cabo. And I'm playing in board shorts, right? So then to go from that to somewhere like Pebble Beach or another golf course where you really gotta, you know, be on your game, having something like Malbon where we can wear it all the time, it just makes it more comfortable, more enjoyable, especially for someone who, I would say for me even, who didn't have golf when I was younger. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to wear, man. This is what I want to do. I'm more comfortable in a game that I'm already uncomfortable in, and I'm learning, you know? So it just changes the game as far as like, I think you're exactly right, hitting that point, you know, the younger demographic, and then making it fun, dude. That's the difference, I think, is it's fun to go do that, you know, and you want to go have a good time playing the game.
And like what you were saying, like it takes a long time, but it's not a bummer if it takes a long time, if like all your bros and your friends are doing it. Yeah. Then it's like you have no problem finding time to do it. Like it takes a long time to party too, right? Yeah. I mean, it just takes a long time, like partying, being hungover, recovering. But, you know, you go through that 10-year period where like you make time for what you want to do, but when none of your friends want to do it too, it's like, I'm out. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not leaving everyone for 6 hours and they're going to a house party and I'm going to go like hit balls on the range all day. Yeah. It's tough. But if everyone was going to hit balls on the range, then it's like you have plenty of time to do it actually.
Yeah. Finding that community, right? That golf community helps a lot.
Well, it's cool too. I think it can take you all over the world. You know, there's golf courses everywhere. And like there's some of the most beautiful places I've ever been have been surrounding golf trips, you know? So it makes it even more enjoyable if you're looking at it from that standpoint also. It doesn't just have to be the golf course right down the street, you know?
Yeah, it could bring you all over the world, right? Like, I think that's one of my favorite parts for sure, like discovering new courses and going out and trying to get on and hell yeah.
Yeah. You said you went to art school. What'd you go to art school for, and how did that play into Malbon?
Visual communication. So I learned like graphic design, and I grew up as an artist and then went for commercial art basically. So I started a magazine in art school called Franklin 51, and it was an electronic prepress. So you had to learn design. You had to figure out how to separate files to send artwork electronically to the printer. So it's electronic prepress, and started a magazine. And The magazine was based off of like subcultures in time. It was before the internet. So it was like if you knew someone on Hot 97 and you were a rapper or you were a singer, you would be able to have a career, or if you knew someone at a record label. But if you didn't, there was really no outlet. And so it was kind of a underground like culture type of publication, and published all over the world. We published in Japanese and French and Portuguese and English, and that took me to all types of places. But it taught me how to do storytelling really well, and like art direction and editorial. And then I got hired at an ad agency where I was an art director, and then became a creative director, and then started my own ad agency where I worked, and got hired by Toyota. And we launched Scion, a car company for Toyota. That was probably our biggest account. And then I worked on Nike and HBO and Coca-Cola and a whole bunch of different projects. But all of it was based around like youth culture in some way or fashion or another. So I was actually doing all of that stuff and was switching offices when I had probably 30, 40,000 followers on the mood board, which is now Malbon Golf. And my wife was like if I go, my kids went to Wagon Wheel, so we would go to like Wagon Wheel, like dinners and, parent parties and such. And so I'm like not talking to anyone until I see someone wearing like a LACC hat. And then it's like immediately I light up and I can sit and like chat about like knock down 7 irons and like flop shots and just like golf nerded out. And she's thought, it's all you want to talk about or do anyway, so we might as well make a business out of it. So we opened up a pro shop, if you will, on Fairfax, and my creative studio was in the back where I was still working with Nike. I was working on Nike Golf and Toyota and other accounts too. We were still doing a bunch of stuff, but it was my main focus was the creative services. And the little shop in the front was like an area where I could meet friends and have people come by. And I got a simulator, and we started selling like Jones bags and Seamus head covers, and Nike Golf was mainly what we sold at first. But the same way that like any golf course you can do, they have like a green grass program where you can crest your logo on like blank products. So that's when I made logos, the buckets, which is our kind of character, him, and then the script logo. So we had 2 main logos that I designed, and we started putting them on products that already existed. So I would go downtown and buy like Champion sweatshirts and then take them somewhere and get them embroidered, and we would start to sell them. But it was mainly just the sales from the shop. And then eventually we started with the website, and it's kind of like did it ass backwards. Like when I was young, I heard when you want to start a company, you develop a really great product and then you figure out how you're going to sell it, which is the audience. So we did it backwards. We built a really great audience and then figured out what products that audience wants.
Yeah, that is an interesting way of looking at it. And I mean, I like the concept even of like creativity finding a way. Like you started that account, like you said, just to have like a mood board, but then the passion turned into something tangible. And it's a great lesson for people to, do what you love and focus on things you're really passionate about to, become an entrepreneur and follow in those footsteps.
You have to have blind faith and love for what you're doing, or there's a lot of reasons to quit.
Thanks for watching Studio 22.
Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell.
Thanks for tuning in to Studio 22.